Hi, I'm Gina Baird, and I'm going to be doing a reaction video on the TED Talk. Um, in the TED Talk, she stated that online jobs aren't working anymore and that Randstad had purchased Monster.com a few years ago. She stated that 85% of the job openings are not posted online anymore. When I was younger, I was one of those people who would take anything, any job, just to have a job. I guess I was more of the eager person back in the day. I would fill out application after application, and I would take the first job with the company that called me first. So over the years, I've learned quite a bit about jobs and different careers. And if I were to look for a job these days, I would probably fit into the choosy category. I agree with her in the fact that we all need to find effective methods when trying to find a job nowadays. The older I got, the more I found my sweet spot, which are the skills, interests, and market. For example, who's doing what you do. She stated then you're supposed to have career conversations. And she said it wasn't about who you know, but it's about who you choose to meet. We also have to have a creative approach to jobs, just like the way that the young gentleman in the video did. He found his clarity of purpose, and I think what he did was absolutely brilliant. She said that we need to basically step outside of our comfort zone as far as our fears go in order to make a lasting impression on people who are hiring. I think I agree with that. I can tell you that not all jobs would like this young man's approach. Many companies are, in my opinion, still kind of old school, and um, and they like to use the old school approach by having applicants, submit their applications and their resumes. Then the company calls them in for an interview. They may expect a cover letter, and then the applicant tell them that they either got the job or not. Nowadays, it's all about networking, using sites such as LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Twitter, and Facebook. Yes, these sites are great. In fact, I was very surprised at LinkedIn, and when I submitted my homework assignment for this week, I could see that there was actually um, people on there from my previous places of employment. What a great way to network and to get your name and qualifications out there for everyone to see. Um, we didn't have any of these things when I was younger. I just turned 50. I urge all of you who are younger to take a great advantage of these sites, such as LinkedIn, upon graduation. I think Professor Gibby has done us all a favor by actually giving us this assignment. You'll already be one step ahead of the game. I found this video really, honestly, to be very boring to watch, but it was actually loaded with a lot of information. I actually watched it 3 times, so I didn't miss anything. I am currently employed by Parkview Health, and I will graduate in December. I will be moved up into a management position upon receiving my degree, and I am very fortunate in that I will not have to use LinkedIn or Glassdoor or any other social media sites to find a job, which leads me to another point. I grew up in a generation where you wanted to find a job and stay there. The lady stated in this video, that millennials will have 7 careers in their lifetime. I guess I'm old school, and I would like to be at the same place of employment until I retire. I believe in growing with a company and a job that you love. I'm a supervisor, and as an employer, I look at how many years a person has been employed when I'm looking at applications and things. I look at how many years a person's been employed in their previous jobs before I hire them. And if I see that they bounce from job to job, I'm not going to hire them. Um, uh, I think that they wouldn't be dependable. And in our book, and I personally know this just from experience, it would eventually cost the organization a bunch of money, both when they hire them and when they leave, because you will have the cost of the organization to replace them. The more money they make, the more money it will cost to replace them when they leave. This job hopping approach, it's not for everyone. And to me, it sounds like all millennials are just hopping from one job to the next to get more money. And personally, I'm not sure if I like that idea. I do agree that networking with people definitely will increase your chances of getting your name out there and letting people know what your skills and talents are. But boy, have times changed, and I'm very thankful that I know where to look for a job if I was to ever have to look for a job, if I ever have to change a career. And, now I know how to use LinkedIn now. And thank you, Professor Gibby, for steering us in that direction. I think millennials personally need to focus on what their sweet spot is. I went through college and I graduated from nursing right out of high school. And I worked in the field and I hated every minute of it. Why? Because I went into that field to make good money. Was I happy? No. It took me some time and a few years to figure out what I wanted to do in life. And, I had to ask myself, what made me happy? I enjoyed helping people, and I enjoyed being a little scientist. So then I went on to medical technology school and I became a med tech. Now, bring me up to date. I have to have a bachelor's degree to move into management where I'm currently employed. So anyways, in my opinion, find out what you want to do in life and do it for the love of what you do, not just to make good money or for the love of money. Find an organization that you love to work at and hopefully grow with the company. I'm not sure, if I like the idea of bouncing around from job to job until you get where you want to be. But, I also do believe her in that you need to be creative, in the way that you apply for jobs nowadays. As far as resumes go, and most not wanting to most of them not really getting into the human hands. They're kicked out before they even get to the employer. That to me is crazy, but I do believe that. At my place of employment, they take like a kind of I would say like a questionnaire type of test within the application, and based upon how they answer it, is based upon whether or not I receive the applications from the applicants, from HR's standpoint. So, there was a time, and she's absolutely correct in the fact that you could be the absolute best applicant, and it never makes it to to be viewed by a human eye, because I did have a person I knew that had applied for the job. I never received an application, and I had to call HR and say, hey, what happened to this application? And they ended up having to push it through to me just because it was kicked out of the system by the way they answered one of the questions. And I actually did hire that person, and they are one of my top performers. So, I looked online as far as, what kind of things you should or should not do as far as putting in your resume so they're not kicked out. And it varied from website to website, so I'm not going to go into detail and list what I found. So if you ever do, or I wouldn't say ever do, when you put your resume together, I would definitely take a look at some of those websites and make sure that you're following what they say, because it does happen. So anyways, that's my reaction video, and I thank you very much.